Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. In moments, Justin Nugent is going to be joining me to discuss that monster revision to GDP, as well as jobless claims falling. And then maybe we'll cover some stocks and a little sports, all on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang!
Now, on the GDP side, this is our third time around the block on Q2, and we see a really solid revision, 3.8%. I'm a bit shocked, to be honest. Usually the revisions, as you get to second and third, become smaller and smaller. So 3.8% would be the best quarter going back to, and we have to go back a ways here, to 4.4, and that was the third quarter of 23. Now, it is important to point out that if you look at the first quarter final, down 0.5%. There's a balance there, but the balance is moving in favor and momentum is moving in favor for better growth. Now, on the GDP.
Exactly. Well, who's better than Rick Santelli to bring in something like that? I mean, folks, Justin Nugent joins me. There he is right there. Justin Nugent joins me. And Justin, I always love when Rick gets to sort of say, all the experts were wrong again.
That is my favorite thing to see him say as well. And they were wrong about GDP. They were wrong about PCE. I thought those tariffs were supposed to spike inflation, John. I thought the tariffs were supposed to spike the PCE.
Well, folks, as you know, we always start off with Macro Minute. And today it is indeed that GDP revision. I mean, they weren't giving the president any credit at all. They thought it would be sub 3, then they moved it up to 3, then they revised it up to 3.2. So now the Q2 GDP, gross domestic product, is indeed 3.8%. And jobless claims fell to 218,000. And the markets, it's good news, bad news, because it's such good news that people worry a little bit, Justin, that maybe they're not going to cut rates as quickly as they would otherwise.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, what else do we see as well? Consumer spending up, PCE down. I mean, in the broader picture, things are improving, and that whole Armageddon that all of these definitely not politically influenced analysts were calling for didn't happen. So I think that we can take this as a broad win, personally.
Yep. Well, and moving right over to futures, I'm going to say today, Justin, that even though we traded above 3,800 24 hours ago, I'm going to say silver, because silver hits another all-time high today.
Dang.
Silver trades over $45 to the ounce, and that's without the Hunt brothers trying to corner the market. It's just solid demand. Do you have any insights into any futures you want to cover, Justin?
Yeah, I'll talk about two. So I'll just say the ES in general, right? The SPY. We saw this pretty nasty open. We've been talking about, hey, we could see a couple days of a pullback in the Rebel Roundup. We've been talking about taking a little bit of that profit, staying disciplined. But when I talked to Chris today, Chris Sikora, our UOA analyst, he's talking about how today, right at the open, what are we actually seeing a lot of? We're seeing huge put selling. We're seeing leap buying coming in and saying, hey, all right, are we even going to get more of a dip than this? Probably not by much. So let's take our long position now before we keep hitting more and more and more all-time highs, which based on that GDP, based on that great economic data, probably what's going to keep happening throughout the year.
Well, and Justin and I both have a treat for you, folks, because the one and only Geoff Garbacz is joining us again. And Geoff and Ryan Mastro do the Rebel setup in the morning. And then Geoff, of course, famous for the Rebel short squeeze. And every couple weeks here, he brings us one of those big short squeeze readings. So with that said, Geoff, take it away, sir.
Thanks. It's pretty amazing. We're in another period of the shorts just continuing to add. Well, this morning we're going to take a look at the Rebel Squeeze Play Pro commentary, which we just got out on short interest. And then we'll also take a look at chart room and hit some outliers of short interest. So first of all, we have commentary up this morning from Rebel Squeeze Play Pro. And we're going to start looking at a chart, our latest charts on short interest. New York Stock Exchange, now you can see we're bucking into this 2015 and 2007 period. So we're on a multi-decade high on New York Stock Exchange. And then NASDAQ is broken out again to a new high. And we can see that down here in the absolute number of shares short. New York went up by 3.16%. NASDAQ went up by 1.10%. And now we've gone from, at the end of the year, we were at 15.496 billion shares short to 18.360 shares short. And NASDAQ is up to, we just went over 17 billion. So 17.146 billion from 14.091. So really significant numbers. Just a big change on a percentage basis. We're over 18.5% now on each of them. And what's interesting is because we're at a peak, we've had zero short covering, which is kind of crazy. So looking at our full tracking of short interest, right now only 4% of stocks are in a short squeeze. 5% are doing well, but no one's short. And then 10% of stocks are where the shorts have been making money, and 8% are weak and no one is short. And those are our kind of favorite type of stocks to go and short. And if we look at the latest update, which is from the end of August to the middle of September, we can see that every sector had an increase in short interest. So that is pretty interesting. And you can see here where we've got some things that are above 15% on the type 4 category. So those would be potential short ideas down the road. Consumer services, food staples, insurance, telecom, and food, beverage, tobacco. Interesting defensive stuff is looking really problematic. And so that would be a good place to go. Other thing that's interesting is we now have 17 sectors driven by dumb short selling. So the squeeze can continue for a period of time. We only have 7 sectors where we got smart short selling going on right now. So from that, we're going to kick into chart room, and we're going to go down here and we're going to take a look at the biggest changes in terms of positions. So let's go to New York first. And we can see the biggest increase came from CNQ, Synovus Energy, CVE. And let's just take a look at these charts. You can see how Canadian is now up to 30.91. 11 days on Synovus. ABEV, which is kind of an interesting stock if it can ever get through $2.50 because it's got a short ratio of 3.14. Planet Labs, this is one that, wow, this might be a takeoff candidate down the road here. This could be worth watching, folks. We'll have to keep this one. And then last is Ford. The shorts keep coming into the Ford on an absolute basis. Looking over at the NASDAQ, it's just amazing. Stupid is as stupid does sometimes. Nvidia is the most shorted stock again. The short position went up by another 20 billion shares. Google was number 2, Avago number 3, Grab Holdings number 4, and Google, the other Google, the Goog, was number 5, and Robinhood was right below that. Now, of those, heavily shorted Nvidia and Grab are at 94% and 85% in terms of where the shorts are making bets right now on that particular name. And then looking at the drops, quick drops here, on NASDAQ, the biggest drop was Opendoor. It was definitely a pretty good drop here. We can see here's Opendoor, and you can see the short ratio it's been coming down recently because the volume has been going up, but the absolute number of shares are short, and you can see this thing has had quite the run to it. The second drop came from Permian Resources, and then Cipher Mining had a drop after quite the squeeze that went underway. So that's kind of a quick look at the latest short interest data, and clearly Nvidia is a really interesting outlier.
Yeah, if I
Sure
can
is.
hop in it. Sorry. I wanted to just say two quick things, Geoff. I love your analysis whenever I get to see this short stuff. When you talk about Planet Labs, we were actually looking at that as well not too long ago. This was a UOA hit. From the 12th, they were trading at 966. Someone's coming in and buying the 11 strike calls for October. Those are still alive.
Yeah.
Stock is up 25% since then, but obviously it's not an option to trade just stock. The options are up so much. Those were out of the money options. Those are now in the money, and I believe those options are up over 200% now, which is super interesting. And one more real quick, not to hijack, but Nvidia, you said Nvidia is, what did you say was the most shorted NASDAQ stock right now?
Correct. Yeah, added another 20 million shares of short interest to it.
Okay, well, without giving too much detail, by the way, that's a crazy bet for someone to step in and make, but I'll withhold my judgment from these short sellers. Without giving too much away, someone came in and made a pretty big Nvidia call purchase yesterday. Pretty out of the money. And if you're a Roundup reader, you know this was our weekly UOA. And what did I say? John, you know what I'm going to say. You don't have to buy it out of the money. But when someone steps in and buys $65,000 calls in something, whether you're at the money, out of the money, or no matter how you might want to trade it, it might be worth it to take a look at that name.
Absolutely. Well, Geoff, great stuff. Justin as well. Geoff, appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
Bang. And folks, you can, when you go to marketrebellion.com/get started, you could get, for instance, updates from the great Justin Nugent with 3 at 3 Pro. You could also get any of Geoff's, either his setup, the Rebel setup with Ryan Mastro, or his short squeeze products. They're all available at marketrebellion.com/get started. Make it easy on yourself and just grab the QR code there. All right, Justin, let's fly through a few of these. Opendoor happened to be one that Geoff just covered because he said, man, the shorts are getting just carved up in this one. Yes, they are, my friends. And take a look at this. So just yesterday on 3 at 3, which is a show that we do for the subscribers, as you see there on the 24th, with the stock at roughly $8, 60,000 of the this Friday expiring 850 calls. Now, we like buying the at the monies. Some of you like buying the out of the monies, and that's fine. I just like moving the odds into my favor. I don't have to have as big a move from the stock. But, I mean, this one traded all the way up over 9 in the pre-market today. So up another, 12, 14%. And it's just churning along in the mid-8s right now, which means, of course, that the calls are moving up. And Opendoor, this is one of those that I think our friend Eric Jackson was talking about. And now Jane Street has jumped in here, Justin, with a 13G filing because they've bought about 44 million shares. So ouch to the shorts in this one.
Yeah, 100%. Jane Street coming in and picking up 5.9% of this thing is amazing. But what is even more amazing, and should no longer amaze me, but does every single time, is when the UOA comes in just a couple hours before this news break. Like, they just don't care if they get caught for maybe knowing something or not. I just think it's incredible. And the cadence of the UOA as well. They came in 85,000 on Monday. Oh, okay, we moved down a little bit. No worries. We roll those 85,000 calls down on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we're moving up a little bit. Oh, okay. Here's this 60,000 contract purchase. We know at some point something's going to happen, says this UOA, and something definitely did.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you where else something's happening, Justin. LUXE, LUXE. It started off hot and then it was not, and it tanked. This LUXE, basically lifestyle products. So the likes of Bruno Cucinelli, Dolce Gabbana, Gucci, Laura Piana, Prada, Moncler, all of those kind of names are within this holding company of luxury names, as it would imply. Well, turns out that these guys reported a 12% increase in Q4 net sales and 73% growth in EBITDA for 2025. But apparently that's not enough to get it to hold. And as soon as it came out, man, they came out selling with both hands, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I just want to say, this is just a one-off comment because it's the most important thing I could say, is that when this opened, LUXE was up 15.79%. Anyone was holding this into those earnings, that's your golden opportunity to say, oh, give me my money. Take off the money. Take some money off. Maybe just half. Maybe take off your cost basis, whatever you got to do. And if you didn't, that stock is still up 4.5%. Okay, but that might have been crushed by IV. 15.79%. Probably IV is not touching that. So, this is just a sign, and we're going to see this again in a couple of the other names, just a sign that when you get that golden opportunity, you should take it.
All right, now we'll move on to CarMax. So over here in CarMax, Justin, KMX, these guys, it seemed like they had a pretty good report, but they were down hard in the pre, and that was because even though the used vehicle units, they were making money on some of those, the number was down substantially year over year, and more than 20% drop out of the auto retailer, which is, of course, used autos, KMX, CarMax. Man, people anticipated there could be something good here. There was nothing good in the CarMax report.
Yeah, they definitely hit the brakes today. They did miss that EPS by just a little bit, 99 cents to 105. But
just a
down.
Little.
Yeah. But I think maybe the sales getting like 6% year over year might have also been a bit of a problem here. But, on the other end, if you were in the puts here, similar idea. We opened really low. And again, here we are kind of reverting to that mean, starting to see a little bit of that buying, a little bit of those buyers starting to step in and say, hey, maybe this got a little too cheap. Maybe this is that dip that I can buy. Yet again, if the trade moves in your direction, just take that profit. But yeah, not necessarily a dip I'd want to buy. But
well, then we've got Immuneering, which is IMRX. Now, this one did pop and then pulled back. So the particular move in this stock was noteworthy because these guys announced they were basically announcing an 86% overall survival rate at 9 months for pancreatic cancer patients. Great news, guys. But even though that's nearly double the standard by everybody else, which is about 47%, it wasn't enough because they all of a sudden decided, you know what, we're going to price $175 million in an equity offering, Justin. And when they announced that, that's when we saw things start to roll over rather quickly. So they were up 20%. I showed the high of the day somewhere around 1270 or so, and it's below 8 right now because that 175 million that they're raising, they sold basically at 923 a share. So as you might imagine, folks, if you got a bunch of those shares at 923 and it's trading $12, you're going to go sold. And that's what happened.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the equity offering will always beat the really, really great news. But at the end of the day, outside of the stock side of this, an 86% survival rate versus a 47% standard is crazy. And, especially for pancreatic cancer, that's a big one. So this company is doing God's work here. It's really good. And, at the end of the day, that equity offering probably just helps them to continue to work towards that goal and gives them more money for that treatment. So
right. And I'd say that looking at the 52-week high and low, Justin, this one looks like you're picking up shares at a pretty good price. You can see why people were hitting it over 12 because of that offering, but you can also see that, man, at $8 here, closed last night at $9.23. So you're picking it up a substantial discount to that after this great news, but because $175 million worth of stock were sold to people at 923, people are like sold at those higher numbers. All right. Well, we know you guys like the sports videos, and Pete gave his blessing to this one. And I suspect one of the reasons he did was because this big guy, he is 6'6", 464 pounds, Justin. So they're going to put him in the middle of the line along with another huge guy to try to stop these tush pushes where, of course, the quarterback gets in there and they get some big guys behind him, literally just to shove him on his backside over the first down or over the goal line. And with this guy in there, that might not be happening. Let's take a listen.
Good luck.
For the first time ever, we may finally see a team stop the unstoppable play. Since 2021, the Eagles have run the tush push approximately 116 times. And that play has a 90% conversion rate, which is basically as high as you'll ever see for a play in the NFL. Well, on Sunday, when the Eagles head to Tampa to play the Bucs, they may finally face a team who has the antidote. Today, the Bucs re-signed 6'6", 464-pound rookie nose tackle Desmond Watson. And for Sunday's Eagles game, they plan on sticking him next to 6'4", 346-pound Vita Vea, which they hope will form an immovable object in the middle anytime the Eagles try and run the tush push. And what really makes this wild is the Bucs originally cut Watson after training camp because they said he weighed too much and he needed to meet certain weight requirements. But now, coincidentally, because they got the tush push on Sunday, he's back on the team. Now, as we know, we've seen teams try all different things to try to stop this play. We even saw Commanders players in the playoffs last year literally leaping over the top of the pile, and still no one has been able to stop it. Either way, I can't wait to see this because for the first time ever, we may finally see a team shut down the tush push.
And the Eagles are about as good at that with Jalen Hurts at quarterback as anybody has ever been. I'd say the only thing close to him is probably Buffalo Bills with Jared Allen. But when you get the Eagles lined up against 400 pounds, they average 400 pounds between these two giants out there, it's going to be interesting, Justin, to say the least. All right. I got to throw some at you, Justin, and then you can come back and tell me. So Pete sent us his games of the week, and he sent 4. So we'll go through them quick. Can Illinois bounce back against USC? This USC team is 4-0, and Illinois got crushed by Indiana last week. Do they bounce back?
Yes. Yeah, I think they can rebound. I know USC is unbeaten, but the Illini defense ranks top 20. And I think that when you've just been crushed, it's kind of a wake-up call, and you got to come in and say, oh, okay, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to run through somebody. I don't care. I'm going to do this thing.
Well, and I don't disagree. And Bielema, their coach, I'm sure had them doing sprints all week and getting ready for this game. So that should be a good one. How about Indiana versus Iowa? Indiana's the one that put that big hurting on Illinois that Pete was talking about. And at Iowa City for this Big Ten game, I like Indiana a lot.
Yeah, me too. 4-0, their best since 1967. They are playing in Iowa, and they're supposed to be the Kinnick Stadium voodoo or whatever they call it. But yeah, I think Indiana.
How about LSU against Ole Miss? Pete and I talked about this because Lane Kiffin, the head coach of Ole Miss, found out that his daughter is dating the star linebacker from LSU. Now, the good news for Lane Kiffin is that he's playing at home, or he's not playing, he's coaching, but he's coaching at home against number 4 LSU. Who do you take in this one?
Anytime you have old fatherly rage, I'm going to go with that guy's team. I'm going to go with
All
Ole
right.
Miss.
So Justin's probably saying, take the points here. How about Oregon against Penn State? It's at Penn State, and Penn State does look really good. They've been tough throughout these first few games, just running up points on some good teams and some horrible teams. How about Oregon? Do you like them to win this one, or do you like the home team?
I think I like PSU here. I'm a sucker for a trend, and they haven't lost at home since 2022, based on what I've read. So I hearken a guess that PSU maybe takes this one.
All right. Penn State he's taken, folks. I'm with him. I'm going to take Penn State. Even though Oregon's got a heck of an offensive machine, I'm thinking that you might see the same sort of thing you saw last year in the college football playoffs, where a West Coast team coming in to play a Big Ten, staunch, very tough defensive team with great fan support, 100 and some odd thousand fans in Happy Valley. I'm going to be with Justin and say I like Penn State. All right, 2 pro games over the weekend, Justin. We've got Philly against the Bucks with the tush push. Who you going with here?
This is one that I wasn't following as closely, but whoever's got those 2 mountains, I'm going to go with them. That is, right. You're not pushing that.
Justin's saying that with those 2 mountains, Tampa's going to shut them down. And don't forget, guys, that they've got one of the hottest QBs in football playing for them right now. And Baker Mayfield is certainly showing everybody, proving everybody wrong week after week. I'll diverge from Justin on this one, and I'll take Philly. Lastly, Ravens at the Chiefs. So the Ravens have struggled. They're 1-2. The Chiefs also 1-2. I guess we should say they've struggled as well. But they're playing at the Chiefs, Justin. Who do you like?
I'll take the Chiefs just because they're at home. They're both 1-2. It's going to be hopefully a very close match is what I would imagine.
And I'm thinking we've got to see the running back basically from the Ravens. He's got to hold on to the ball. He's been having some issues. He's certainly fit because if you've ever watched this guy work out, Justin, he is a monster. But can he hold on to the ball this week? The answer is probably going to be yes. I'm sure he's just been beating himself up over those fumbles. But I'm thinking he might have enough left in the tank between his pounding the ball at Kansas City's somewhat suspect defense, as well as, of course, Lamar Jackson at quarterback. I'm going to say that they keep it really close and win it at the end. I'm taking the Ravens. All right. Well, Justin, great job as usual, my friend. Again, you can subscribe to Justin's insights several ways with us. I'd encourage you all to go to marketrebellion.com/get started. You would be then trading smarter with Justin Nugent, with me, with Mastro, with Greg McDermott, with Geoff Garbacz. We'd encourage you to scan the QR code and join us. And we will be back with another Rebel's Edge on Monday next week at 1 o'clock. See you then, guys.